I just wanted to point out today that I had a glimpse of some of the chaos that's going on social media. Just nothing like politics or anything like that. Just the insanity of what people are using AI to create. And it's this circus show. And if you are feeling like you're going crazy, a lot of you probably already know this, but sometimes there's things you just can't unsee. And it doesn't mean like bad things. Those are the worst. Murder, rape, and all these just horrible things that people find fascinating. But I think if you find yourself as an individual bothered and you don't know why, someone might need to hear this, is because some of these thoughts, these visuals that you see, you're recording inside your subconscious mind. And there could be things that are bothering you. I think a good example is how people sleep with their windows locked and closed and alarm systems and things, thinking that someone's always out to kill them. Is the probability that somebody would? Maybe. I don't know your story, but someone may come and rob you or something at some point. But I think we're so freaked out about everything. Death is definitely terrifying. It's a thing, to me, I find it intriguing. Um, but it's not something that I worry about every single day, and I think that's what holds a lot of people back and keeps them living in a strange life. It's these visuals that we're seeing. And the reason what's got me up to talk about this subject matter today is that I've been alone for a very long time working. I don't really get much out and socialize very much for a good reason. But I find myself being more clear. There's more clarity, there's more mental acuity the more I don't browse social media. And the only reason I was bringing this up too about saying things that I've seen is I post a lot of different things online for these channels that I have. And when I'm posting, sometimes things will pop up, and then it's almost irresistible where you're like, oh, let me just check this one thing out and see what this pop up is, and you look at it and you're like, what the fuck is that? What meaning, what purpose, And I just noticed myself being away from everything and everybody, that you get this mental clarity, and then all of a sudden you see one video like that and how much it disrupts your day. Like, I can't even remember what the videos were, but it just gave me this feeling that, like glue, like you got tar stuck to you inside your mind, and it affects the way you feel physically, mentally, spiritually, everything. So I don't know. I think that we're in the system, and I'm guilty of it too, of just checking my phone all the time and things. But I find it so healthy to just get away from everything every once in a while, just to give yourself a sanity check. And I fear for the future because the majority of people are becoming spiritual zombies, I think, and intellectual zombies, because their hard drives are just full of shit. It's just one video thing after another after another. I checked into the statistics, I remember years ago, and I'm sure it's worse now, but it's like people spend an awful lot of time. We're talking hours. You guys probably all know this already. But I just wanted to remind you guys to take a break every once in a while and focus on the things that actually matter. And when you focus a lot, if you want to get out of the situation you're in, you want to be an unconventionalist, you want to live free inside your mind, not just free out in the physical world, to get away from these things, it might behoove you to put a little bit more effort and thought. And it's these things, I think, that get overlooked, where we just go about our day to day and we can't understand why we're frustrated and why we feel icky, sticky, and yucky and just strange and off. I don't know, comment below how you feel, but I think having the signaling of cell phones and internet and satellites and things constantly crossing through the atmosphere does affect us, even if you're not watching it. Watching it just stacks it on top of it, on each other. But yeah, our brains are receivers, and transmitters. And I know this because I've had experiences where when my first child was born, I don't think I've ever told you guys this story. Um, it was like 36 hours of labor, of course, not for me, but for their mother. And once my baby was born, um, I stayed awake for the whole entire thing. So I was delirious, and I went outside and met my the mother of my children. I'm not with her anymore. I met her mom and my mother in the parking lot, had a cigarette with them. This is probably like 19, 20 years ago. And I'm sitting there just trying to take a break and tired. And then all of a sudden I just got this feeling like, what the heck? Something's wrong. And both, the women were like, you look at, you're delirious. You've been up all day. Just chill the F out. And you're hallucinating, whatever. And I was like, no. I threw my cigarette down and took off running into the hospital. They moved my children's mother to a different room. I had to find out where she was at. As soon as I found her, I opened the door. She was crying. She was bleeding. She said the bleeding wouldn't stop, and it's hurting. And she's hitting the buzzer, and nobody was coming. And she's like, oh my God, thank God you came here. I was like sending everything I have to you. And I was like, I heard it. That's why I ran here. And I got a nurse and things. So she, like most people, don't believe me on these type of things where I say that there's extra powers, gifted powers, and how can I say, things that we all have that we've forgotten. We all have them, but it's like a muscle. And after that moment, I think she never questioned me ever again. I've had multiple times. I've had times where I thought I could just feel like something for sure imminently bad is going to happen, and nothing happens. I don't know if this is channeling, connecting to someone somewhere in the world or something somewhere. It's hard to decipher what these signals that are coming in are. But lo and behold, I think, and it could be possibly by design, when we are stuck in these images that we see on our phones and our screens, our TVs and billboards and everything, these things cloud that area of our mind and doesn't make it inaccessible. It just like gums it up, right? You can't put the key in the hole because it's all gummed up. You can't unlock that door. You can't get into that room. I think taking a diet, a mental, spiritual diet from the conventional world out here is very, very healing. It's just something that I think that we all should take in consideration to do every once in a while. It's like those little things, that are super important, like getting exercise and, maybe just spending time calling somebody and saying, hey man, how you doing? And we keep saying we're going to do it and we don't do it. And it's very important. I'll wrap this up. There was an Australian nurse who wrote a book, and I think it was 15 sayings from the dying elderly. There were regrets. And she wrote the book because she found so many people saying the exact same thing. After a couple hundred of them, she was like, wow. I wish I would have lived life for me instead of pleasing others. Now that I'm dying, I realize that none of this even mattered. I wish I would have spent more time with my loved ones or reached out to friends instead of working so hard. Now that you're dying, in those moments, I think all of this becomes insignificant. That's why I am inspired. I don't like to see people die. But when someone does, I feel the pain, I feel the sorrow and everything. But then it inspires me afterwards to say, what the fuck am I doing? Like, have I told everybody that I want to tell that I love them, that I care about them? I don't need to say it 100 times, but bringing out that effort and then paying attention to what's going to happen. It's like, it seems like we're always in the building mode, which is nothing wrong. We should always be creating and designing things, I think. But as long as we're not focused on the destination, right? There's going to be a destination. One day this will happen, and I'm guilty of this too. We need to enjoy the process, to slow down without commercials in our fucking lives. And we need to enjoy this journey, this process. We need to enjoy our mistakes and our failures, because that's where we learn the most. I just hope that we all don't fail to leave all these important, I would say, small flowers in our lives without noticing them. These small little gems and gifts that we don't pay attention to, which all add up to something very, very large, which is the movie of your life once this life is over, if it ever gets over. But things that you will carry with you inside your mind and your being, to wherever you're going. I don't think that life should be such a struggle, but it's very difficult to not see the struggle. And it is hard. There's a lot of stuff that's hard. I mean, I'm a single dad with an 18-year-old special needs kid. I'm still changing their diapers, and I've got zero privacy and things. And I think that's what's given me an advantage over almost everybody I know, is that I've had to learn severe patience. I still learn severe patience. But because I'm so engulfed and I'm with somebody, my daughter, who doesn't have the distinction of embarrassment or what's right, what's wrong. For instance, she'll just grab my hand. If there's a song playing at the grocery store, we start dancing in the middle of the aisles. I have a license to act crazy because I have a special needs kid, right? But she teaches me that, to not give a fuck what other people think, to think outside the norm, to be unconventional all the time. It shows in the art that we do together and the way we cook. And every day I'm reminded of things that I can't even articulate. Last thing, I know I keep saying this, I just like making these videos. And guys, I can't wait to go live. I want to go live and talk to people. But last thing I'm going to say, and this is the last I got to get going, is that there is a communication, a language that goes beyond the barrier of sound, of these words that we use from our mouths. There is a symbolic, you can tell, especially like men, or being in sales like me. I own a construction company and I do sales. As soon as I start talking to somebody, you can see without a word a defensive mode, where the posture, the legs spread open, arms crossed, there's defensive. There's all kinds of, or there's confusement, or you just lost them. You could see it in their face. You could see the reactions. There's just subtle movements of just body language, but also orchestration of symbolization, symbols that's out there. And this is what makes me frightened for the future of the mental, intellectual well-being of society, is that when your brain is all clouded up with these other visuals, then you lose contact with that ability to I wouldn't say speak, to be able to communicate symbolically, and to be able to receive and send and see, to recognize the symbolic language around you. I mean, it goes further into textures and things like that. There's textures of that are speaking. Like, it's just such simple things that most of us don't even think about. So I don't know, probably sounds fucking loony, but that's called being unconventional.